One thing real quick I did not mention in this video that's very important. If you are on an M1 Mac, so any of the new Macs with the new Apple Silicon chip, this most likely is not going to work as expected. You might can get it to work, but you're going to encounter some different errors and things, and that's because VirtualBox is not supported currently on M1 Macs. It's going to be running through the Rosetta program on the Big Sur. So yeah, if you have an M1 Mac, you're probably not going to want to do this because it's just not going to work very good. Currently, the only virtual machine software that works on M1 chips is Parallels, but Parallels is paid. So if you don't mind paying for Parallels, then that's what you need to use. But yeah, just to let you know that. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today on the channel, we'll be showing you how to install Ubuntu 21.04. So this is the latest version of Ubuntu. It's actually released back in end of April, but I'm just now getting around to making a video about it. So we're going to be showing you how to install it here in VirtualBox on your Mac. Now I'm going to go slightly faster than some of my previous videos about VirtualBox, but I'm still going to hit all the main points and all the areas where you may encounter some errors and how to resolve them. But just keep in mind, if you want a very detailed, thorough tutorial, well, you can check out my channel. I have like 20-minute long videos about installing things in VirtualBox, and I also have individual videos about how to fix certain errors. But anyways, we're going to cover all that still in this video, so let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is you need to download a couple of things. First off is VirtualBox. You can head over to virtualbox.org. You click on this big blue download button, and then right over here, as I'm recording this video, the current version is 6.1.22, but you may be watching this video in the future, so this might be a different version, but you just want to go ahead and choose OS X host, since we are on a Mac, of course, but if you had a Windows machine or Linux, you could also use those as well. Now when you click on this OS X host, it's going to download the DMG file, and then you open it up, you open the package file, and you start installing VirtualBox. Now, when you are actually installing VirtualBox, you may encounter an error, and that error is going to cause you to have to go into your system preferences and actually allow the installation to continue. So you just go in your security and privacy settings, and down at the bottom under the general tab, you should see something that looks a little like this and an allow button. You just click on that, and then you can redo the installation, and it should work properly. Okay, so once you get your VirtualBox all installed and everything, you can now install some Ubuntu. So we're going to need an ISO file in order to put it into VirtualBox to install Ubuntu. So all you got to do is head over to ubuntu.com/download/desktop, and you're going to see two versions here. So the first one is what they call long-term support. So Ubuntu supports one version of their software for 5 years, while the current version is only supported for about 9 months. So this one down here, 21.04, is what we're going to be installing today. So you just hit that download button, and it will download the ISO file for you. Now the ISO file is about 2-ish gigabytes. I think it's actually closer to 3 if I remember correctly. So it could take a little while depending on your internet connection speed. Okay, so now that we have both those things installed and ready to go, we can go ahead and open up VirtualBox for the first time. Now, I already have my stuff here, as you can see, so this is going to be completely blank. You're not going to see Windows or Ubuntu over here. Yours is going to be completely blank. So all you want to do here is click on this new button right here, and we're going to go ahead and start the process of creating the virtual machine. So first thing is the name. So the name basically is going to be over here on this sidebar, and this is where you probably want to do like a recognizable name. So most of the time, just name it the operating system. It makes things much easier. The machine folder is where the actual contents of the virtual machine will be stored on your computer. By default, it throws into your home folder for you. pretty good solid location. I recommend leaving it there, but you can change that if you want to, and I do have some videos showing how to do that. We go ahead and hit continue. So this is your RAM size. Now your RAM can be changed anytime you want to. You can always go back into your settings later and change it if you find that maybe things are running a little slowly or something like that. Now you typically don't want to go out of this green area. Most of the time about 2 gigs is really all you need, especially in Ubuntu. But again, you can change that later. Next thing here, we want to create a virtual hard disk. Now we want to do a VirtualBox disk image, and we want to do it dynamically allocated, because dynamically allocated will fill up the pre-selected space over time instead of a fixed size, which will automatically take all that space from your host machine's drive. Now we want to go ahead and choose our hard drive, our virtual hard drive size. Now for the purpose of this video, I'm only going to do about 32 gigs. Again, this is just a test, but it's very important to note here that this cannot be changed after it's done here. So if you run out of space on your virtual machine, well, you're going to have to restart, delete it and redo the whole thing. So be sure you know how much storage you're going to need, and be sure to set it correctly right here. Now once you do that, you go ahead and hit create, and you should notice your virtual machine appear right here. Now before we get it started, let's go ahead and head into the settings, and this is where you can change everything about your virtual machine. Now there's only a few things I recommend changing in here. So first thing, if we go to system, we notice that this is where you can change that RAM anytime you want to. So if we find that, for example, 2 gigs is not fast enough for us, we could bump that up to whatever in this green area. So I recommend unchecking floppy disk because, well, we don't have floppy disk anymore. Your processor, you could bump that up to 2, but most of the time 1 is all you need. But that can make your stuff a little bit faster as well. Display, this is pretty important. So under video memory, no matter what, you want it all the way to the right. That's going to improve your performance quite a bit. And you could enable 3D acceleration, but it's really not needed, especially in Ubuntu. That could improve performance as well. Now right here under the storage tab, now you want to go ahead when you're under storage and you want to click on this empty CD drive right here. And the reason for that is because on Big Sur, I believe there's some kind of issue where when you choose the ISO, when you click start, it causes it to crash, and I'll show you that here in a second. But to go ahead and make things easier, we're going to go ahead and add in the ISO file that we just downloaded right here. So you want to click on that, and then you want to click on this CD icon over here. And then from there, you just click on choose a disk file, and it's going to bring up your Finder window. And you want to navigate to wherever you installed, or downloaded I should say, your Ubuntu 21.04, and you just hit open on that, and it's going to go ahead and put that in the virtual CD drive. So that's going to prevent our startup process from crashing. Now the rest of these up here, there's really nothing else to change in any of these. If you wanted to do a shared folder, which basically means you have a folder on your host machine, so I could put one on the desktop and I could access it in the virtual machine, that's where you would do that. But anyways, once you get all that stuff done, you just hit OK, and it's going to update your settings for you. Then we go ahead and click on the start button here. Now when you click on start, it's going to bring up a window that asks you to choose the ISO file, and I'll show you this just real quickly, but if you click on the folder icon and you click add, this is where it's going to crash on you, as you can see. Now I have a video, of course, showing how to fix that error, but I just showed you guys how to fix it. All you have to do is add it in your settings instead of adding it right there. Now I don't know again why that happens. It must be a Big Sur thing because I don't have an M1 chip. But anyways, you just want to click right here, and you probably shouldn't have to click actually because it should have the 21.04 already in there for you. And then you just go ahead and click on the start button, and it's going to start booting up Ubuntu. Now this is a new screen in 21.04. but basically you can go into save graphics or different things here. So we just want to hit the first one, so you just hit your enter key, and now it's going to boot up into the first setup screen. So we'll go ahead and give this a second to boot up here. Alright, so here we are on the installation screen, the first step of Cerebral here. So we'll make sure your language is correct, and then you just click on the Install Ubuntu button over here on the right. Now it wants to confirm your keyboard layout, so once you do that, you just hit continue right here. And right here, this is where it wants you to choose normal installation or minimal. So basically, if you want things like the OpenOffice software, games, and media players and stuff, you choose normal. For me, I like to do the minimal. It just includes the basics, and then I can install that stuff later. But you do whichever one you want here. It really doesn't matter. And then you want to make sure the download updates is checked right here. And you do not want to check this one because we're going to be installing guest editions later, which will fix all that stuff. So once you get those things selected here, you just hit continue again. And right here, you want to go ahead and just make sure erase disk and install Ubuntu is selected. No need to go into the advanced features. And then you just click on the install now. Now don't worry, the erase disk is not talking about your entire computer or anything like that. Remember, this is a virtual disk, so it's talking about that 32 gigs that I allocated earlier, or whatever size you allocated to yours. And again, don't worry about all this, just hit continue. And now it wants to choose your time zone, pretty much, your location. So just select that, and then you hit continue again. And now it's basically going to set up your computer account. So you just type in your name, your computer name, and you pick your username, all that stuff, and then you also pick a password. So you just put whatever you want in all these blanks, and you can even choose to log in automatically. Now make sure your password isn't that short, okay? I'm just doing this for testing purposes, but yeah, you fill this out however you want, and you hit continue. And now it's going to start the installation process. So whenever this gets done, we should land on the desktop. So we'll go ahead and wait for this. Alright, so when the installation is done, it'll ask you to restart. You just click restart now, and then it'll say something like, please remove your installation medium. Well, there is nothing to remove, so you just hit enter, and then you'll be brought to this screen. So if you would like to connect your accounts, you can go ahead and do that, but we're just going to hit skip for now. You can also choose whether or not to send diagnostic information or system info. You can choose whichever you want, then you hit next. And then you can choose to turn on your location services if you would like. And then it just kind of recommends you some apps to download. But once you do that, you just hit done, and you are here on the Ubuntu Desktop. You actually see that this is the new kind of hippo related release here. So you have the new wallpaper there, which is pretty cool. Now here in a minute, you're probably going to get a pop-up that says there's some updates to install. I'm not really sure when that, oh, there it is right there. So yeah, so it says there's some software that has been issued since it was released. So just go ahead and hit install now on that, and it'll go ahead and download that updated software for you. Now there's one last thing we need to do before we can actually start using Ubuntu, and that is install the VirtualBox guest editions. So I actually just released a video showing you how to do this, but we'll go ahead and go over it right here as well. So you actually need to install some build essentials first before installing the guest editions. The reason for that is you need these in order for the guest editions to build properly. If you don't install this, you'll get some errors when you try to install the guest edition. So what we want to do is just head over to the terminal, and when your terminal window comes up here, we're going to type in the following command. So this is a sudo apt install build dash essential, and it's DKMS. So you're going to type in that command, you're going to hit enter, it's going to ask you for your password, you just put that in and you hit enter again, and it's going to start the process of installing the build essentials. Alright, so it's going to ask you, type Y or N for yes or no. You just type the Y, of course, and it's going to install. It takes a little bit to install, about maybe not even 5 minutes or so, and that is going to be your build essentials. So now what we can do is we can actually close this terminal window, and we can go up here into the menu bar on your Mac and go down here to the Insert Guest Editions CD image. Now what this is going to do is go ahead and mount the CD into the virtual machine. So you just want to go ahead and click on Run, and it's going to ask you for your password, and it's going to go ahead and install the guest editions. So you have to have those build essentials installed first in order for the guest editions to work properly. So go ahead and give this a second here, and then we'll need to restart. And the guest editions is what basically fixes things like screen resolution and the drivers and all that kinds of stuff. So but yeah, we'll go ahead and let this get done. We'll restart and we'll see if it worked. Alright, so we're booted back up here, and just to show you that the guest editions are working properly, you can just resize your window and you will notice that it will automatically adjust properly to the window. And this works too, of course, if you want it to go into full screen, it will now take up your entire screen. So yeah, that is how you install the latest version of Ubuntu on your Mac. Well, I should say in VirtualBox on your Mac. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments down below if you have any issues or problems, and I'll try to help you out the best that I can. But anyways, thanks for watching as always, and I will catch you all in the next video.